The Scottish Mental Health Law Review was commissioned in 2019, and the aim of which was to consider ways in which we could better protect and promote the human rights of people through mental health, incapacity and adult support and protection legislation.
Well, our existing mental health and capacity legislation, when it was enacted at the beginning of the 21st century, it was regarded throughout the world as being leading because it was human rights based. However, over time there were obviously implementation problems.
There have been developments in human rights law, particularly the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which hadn't been around when the law was reformed and needed to be taken into account. And there were also some practical problems about how do you safeguard the rights not just of people who might be detained in hospital, but people with dementia in care homes, for example, who typically weren't in under any kind of order, but were clearly not there of their own volition.
The Scottish Mental Health Law Review was underpinned by a truly collaborative approach by including a whole range of stakeholders, people with experience, families, carers, those people important to them, agencies like ourselves, social work, health and social care across the board.
You really can't develop legislation that is about the freedom and lives of people like me without involving those people who are directly affected by it. And so key to what we did was to involve, as far as we could, 50% of us or more in the deliberations we undertook through the 3 years.
The solution that we came up with was that the law should be there to protect all the human rights of people with mental disabilities or intellectual disabilities, not just particular rights around detention and forcible treatment.
So we start at the very, very idealistic, where we say if society accepted people like me with schizophrenia as people, as humans, and we felt a sense of belonging and connection and almost love in the society we were in, we would be less likely to feel alienated and isolated and rejected, and less likely to get into the terrible states we can get. And equally, society would be less likely to come up with their own assumptions about how they should treat us based on their own stereotypes of what someone with schizophrenia might act like and be like and what needs done to them.
This is quite innovative and quite difficult to do, but it seemed to us that was essential if you were actually going to take seriously the idea of human rights in mental health.
By sticking our flag out there and being aspirational but also practical in our approach, other countries who are also struggling to try and incorporate the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities into their law, practice and policy will be able to look to our review as a model to achieve that. I was very grateful to Edinburgh Napier for allowing me to have the time on the review and recognising that it reflected the expertise of Edinburgh Napier, and I think also the fact that we were allowed to do what we do well and use it for the benefit of society and to work with others and to gain an enormous amount of experience from doing that.